We're just waiting for Baron to put the live stream. We're live stream. So, welcome everybody to this evening's Conwy Harbour Advisory Committee. My name is Joan Vaughan and I'm the chair. Also in attendance are committee members and officers. Can I welcome you all to the meeting, which is multi-location. The meeting will be live streamed and recorded and available for viewing after the meeting. Should the live stream fail, the meeting will continue and recording will be available through the council's website. For those wishing to speak in the council chamber, please press your microphone. Push to speak button, which is, look, this is like, sorry, it's like Blue Peter, isn't it? Similarly, for those attending remotely, please press the push to speak tab. Your names will appear in a queue and I will take speakers in turn. For those attending remotely, please note that those in the chamber will be unable to use the chat facility. Apologies for absence, please, Jane.
Just one apology from Councillor Julie Fallon.
Thank you. Declarations of Interest, Code of Local Government Conduct. I am to remind members that they must declare the nature, declared personal interest. Urgent matters, Jane?
No urgent matters, Chair.
Right, let's go straight to the minutes to approve and sign as a correct record minutes of the previous meeting, pages 3 to 5. Just bring this closer. Is there a proposer and seconder of these minutes?
I'm happy to propose the minutes of that meeting.
Thank you very much. And, yep, Brent seconded. Show of hands, please, for approval. Thank you very much. Now, we will consider a report from the Head of Environment, Roads and Facilities on the following matter. Update from the Conwy Harbour operations. Thank you, Matt.
Great, thank you, Chair. Evening, members. It's quite a concise report tonight, so I'll just run through it in order as per the report. So the first thing to talk about under report details is the Ports and Marine Facilities Safety Code. We're required to have a 3-year audit conducted independently, and this was undertaken very recently by our newly appointed designated person, Captain Ewan Porthouse. Captain Porthouse has 30 years of marine experience. He's also a qualified Lloyd's auditor, so he was very thorough. He came up and spent some time with us. I've seen a copy of the draft report. You would expect someone of Ewan's sort of background to pick a few things up, and he did. Nothing major, thankfully. We've got a couple of things to work on, which is to be expected given that the new guidance has come in. So we'll be getting on with that the next sort of few weeks. While we're on this subject, in the last meeting I mentioned the Workboat Code 3. So we've now getting a better idea of what the cost implications of this are to the harbour. And it's not just to us, it's every port and harbour in the country. We now think it's going to cost around £10,000 in staff training costs to comply with the minimum requirements. And also our patrol vessel Endeavour, as it stands, has failed the Workboat Code 3. So that means even though it's been perfectly seaworthy for the last 25 years, now it's not from December. So we are looking at ways whether we can either modify the vessel to comply or whether we have to purchase a new one. If we have to purchase a new one, we're looking at a minimum of about £50,000 for a coded vessel. So that would probably have to come out of the reserve. So this is something we're working on now with our surveyor. And I'll keep the committee updated on that. The Wild Oyster Project. So since the last meeting, we, together with Bangor University, carried on with the project. We laid around 20 tons of scallop shell out on the limestone beds, and thereafter we deployed around 2,000 native oysters on top. We were able to see the oysters sat on top of the limestone and the shells with underwater cameras. So that was quite nice after the length of the project to see them in situ. We came up with a bit of an ingenious way to make sure that the shells went where they should do. So we rigged up a chute system as you would have in a building site for rubble, and then put bags down the chute and then used our spread legs to maneuver around. So we were very precise in where the shells actually went to, because obviously we've had previous issues with complaints about the height of the bed. So we were able to keep it exactly as per the license. So that was good, and I'd be interested to see now how the sort of oysters get on, and hopefully they breed and start naturally reintroducing into the estuary and the river. The project team will keep us updated, which I'll pass that on, and you can, if anyone's interested, can email the project team directly. The email address is there, and they do have a website. So personal watercraft, PWCs or jet skis. So we've had a really fraught summer with jet skis this year in the harbour. Number of complaints from residents in Conwy and people out on the river. The difficulty we have is, whilst we've got a bylaw which is a maximum speed of 10 knots, in order to prosecute, we need to prove that the bylaw has been broken beyond a reasonable doubt. So that's the same burden of proof as if you're bringing a criminal conviction. So the trouble we have is pinning a particular rider to the jet ski, to the speeding, because we need CCTV footage, witness statements. We need to catch the rider basically getting on and off the jet ski. Then we have to get the personal information, and sometimes they give false information. So it's not as easy as people might think for us to prosecute. I did want to show some footage tonight, but unfortunately I couldn't because of I was told because of data protection rules. But at the weekend we had a jet skier going 35 knots through the middle of the harbour. Now that is just absolutely bonkers dangerous, because if you've got someone in a dinghy coming out from behind a yacht, and you've got a jet ski going at 35 knots, you don't need to be a mariner to work out what the potential dangers are. We've also had issues with jet skis trying to deliberately swamp boats, so doing donuts around and creating waves. Again, with a child in a dinghy, which is again just bonkers. So it is something we're aware of. I have just today actually had some correspondence with the harbour master in Chichester. They have a very good record of prosecution there, and there's some tips there which we're going to try and implement in Conwy to see if we can take it further and actually get a successful prosecution, because I think that would send a message out to people. We have been working with the local police officer where possible. He has gone and spoken to people where we've been able to get registrations, and we've seen the reckless behaviour. But the council do have CCTV both in the harbour office and other cameras, but again it's a case of getting the cameras in the right place at the right time to capture it. So just so the members are aware, it is something that we are working on, and we know it's a problem. Basically we are engaged. The council has got a new work placement scheme. The idea is to give young people who are out of school, college or university some work experience. This is something we've been doing actively for the last 10 years. This is a new programme, it's grant funded. So that'll be good. So the advert is live now, and I've put a link in the report. And what's nice as well is we're seeing people that have been through our system coming through now and moving on in their careers. So we've got one former work experience student who then came back as a seasonal staff member, who today in fact is joining a ship as third engineer out in St Martin in the Caribbean. Another, our first apprentice, he is now working on a vessel called the Terra Marique. He's off to a job in Hull, I think at the minute. He's an assistant engineer. We've got another guy who works for an American billionaire on his research vessel, a second officer. So these guys that have come in, so it does work, and it's good to see them sort of moving through the system. And I always say to them, make sure that you mentor and bring 3 people behind you as well. Replacement pontoon section, it should have been installed. It hasn't been. Delays in the fabricators. That's coming next week, so I've been promised. That will then be installed. I've got a meeting next week to discuss the capital business case for which we hope about 6 pontoon sections we can buy with the money, and also the old pontoon section. We had it drag its mooring. So we're now moving forward disposal. So we'll be doing that next week. But as you can imagine, it's quite an expensive process, but they need to go. So they'll be going to landfill next week. And that's it. I'm happy to answer any questions. Okay.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much. We've got, Councillor Sue Shotter.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you, Matt, for your report. Just going back to page 7, 3.4, reckless behaviour. I think maybe it would be a really good idea for you to actually send a piece to the council, and they can put it on a Facebook page, and maybe it can be shared by everybody to hopefully make people more aware that they do have options on how to report this. Thank you.
Mm.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor. Well, yeah, I've been liaising with the residents because I know it's been causing angst certainly to some of the Gangway residents who have to listen to the noise and watch the. And as I've said, if they can send any footage in, as long as it doesn't compromise their own safety, etc., to us, and then we can work with the police. But again, it's the beyond reasonable doubt. That's the issue that's the threshold we have to meet, which is a high threshold. I have written to people threatening to remove their launching permissions, which we have done in the past as well, and we will do again. But we've only got limited resources, so whilst we can put a patrol vessel out on the weekend until we stayed till 5, after 5 o'clock, come 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, staff go home and people come out and they know that we're limited in what we can do. So yeah, I take your point, and I think this has been picked up by the press tonight as well, and I'm happy to put something out to the residents and through maybe yourselves or through the council website.
Thank you, Matt. Councillor Sam.
Thank you, Matthew, for the report. Obviously, one of the residents who lives around the corner from me copied me into her complaint and various videos of jet skis going up and down. To be honest, I can't tell. It just looks fast all the time, so I can't tell what speed they're doing. But I wonder, is the sort of the configuration of the river and the estuary, is that an appropriate place for jet skis to be used, and are they not more suited to somewhere like Llandudno Bay or Conwy Bay? If you can help with that, please.
Yeah, so obviously we've got a number of slipways around the county. We have restricted PwC's jet skis to only 2 of them now, which is the Beacons in Conwy and Portherius Colwyn Bay. The reason being we have those two slipways are manned, staffed in the summer, and we have a degree of control. The problem is if we were to allow them to launch from Llandudno Bay, Pemamawa, Llanfairfychan, we don't have the resources to have staff everywhere, and so then you're not, the insurance isn't being checked. We don't have the registration details. We can't educate and speak to them. And so back to your point about, is Conwy suitable? If they go out to sea, it is. And if they stick to the speed limits up through the harbour and to the other side of the bridge, it is. It's the reckless behaviour is the problem. If we just said Colwyn Bay was the only launch point, the problem is that in certain swell and weather conditions, you can't launch there because it's quite exposed. So to say that just because of the behaviour of a few, that the responsible people have got nowhere to launch. And my concern would be then we're putting people, endangering them because they're trying to launch when perhaps they shouldn't, because they've got nowhere else to launch. So it's kind of catch-22 really. I do appreciate the residents' concerns. Banning them, okay, well, if you said, well, we ban them, but then you still got to enforce that as well. And so if we're, after 5 o'clock, someone comes and launches, we can't put a barrier there, because then people with fishing vessels, etc., and ribs couldn't launch. So it's kind of, it's a problem not just we have, I think many harbours and ports have.
Thank you, Matt. Bryn?
Yeah, if I may, on exactly the same subject, the PWCs, the speed limit through the harbour is 10 knots. Speedboats and jet skis in particular, at high speed, 25, 30 knots, don't make an awful lot of wash. There's not a lot of swell coming from behind them. At 10 knots, they make an incredible amount of swell, incredible wash coming off the back of them. At 5 knots, that is down to about a half or a third of what they do at 10 knots. Would it be sensible to reduce the speed limit from 10 to 5 or 6? 10 seems quite, I always thought 10 was quite a lot. Lots of harbours that I have been in are often very lot less than 10. Is reducing the speed limit an option?
Again, it's compliance, isn't it? We'd need to change the bylaws, which is doable. But then you've got vessels which don't create a lot of wash that need to get round as well. It's something I can certainly think about, and I'll do a bit of a benchmarking exercise with other harbours and ports and just ascertain what they are. Obviously, the 10 knot speed limit has been in place for quite a while. I would say 25, 30 years, isn't it? Whenever the bylaws were last changed. Certainly something we can think about and have a look at.
Thank you, Matt. Roger?
Thank you. Thanks, Matt, for the report. On the audit of the Ports and Marinas Facilities Safety Code, is that something that you're able to share with us, or perhaps the findings? In the Conwy Marina, we've been looking at the procedures there and trying to help to make some improvements. So is that something you're able to share at some stage?
Yeah, I'm sure we can share a summary. The actual audit report is quite lengthy, as you can imagine. We have been steadily loading documents onto the public website under the Port Marine Safety Code section, because certain documents, the guidance is to have them public. So, for example, the enforcement policy, the training policy, etc. So they're all now there. Obviously, they're going to be translated before they can be uploaded. I'd love to check what they do in other places. Really, I'm not so sure if the whole audit report is disclosed, but I'd see no reason why we couldn't. But I think a lot of places do a summary. So let me look into that, Roger. I'll come back to you on that.
Okay, thank you, Matt. So we've got a number of professionals within the Marina family who may be able to offer some assistance or thoughts, and willing to help where we can. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Michael.
Thank you, Joan. Thank you, Matt. Could you say something about the level of surveillance that there is in the harbour?
Sorry, Mike, can you bring the microphone closer to you?
Can you say something about the level of surveillance? Do you feel satisfied with the level of surveillance in the harbour? Because I'm aware, as well as the jet skis, there are reports of vandalism and thefts of boats that are moored in the harbour. Do you feel that there is a need or a possibility to increase the level of CCT surveillance? Would that help? Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. So in terms of cameras, I don't want to give away where they all are, but I mean that there's a reasonable amount of CCTV already available. Would we like more? Yes, 100%, because the more the merrier. If you're not up to anything nefarious, then you don't mind a camera being there, I guess. We looked at whether we can use solar ones and the piles. We did trial one. The difficulty is lighting. You would need lighting as well, and and the range, and then the Wi-Fi. We have looked into all of this, and I'm happy to share what we found. But I think at the minute where we're at is probably as good as we're going to get for now, unless suddenly a load of funding becomes available, unfortunately.
Thank you, Matt. Councillor Conwy.
Thank you, Chair. Is it down to yourself to prosecute, or is it up to regulatory services to follow up on that? Because I know that regulatory services are desperately undermanned as well. So would it be regulatory or yourself that would pursue the matter?
What we'd probably end up doing in practice is we would put together the evidence and present it to regulatory services for a solicitor then to give us an opinion on whether we could take it forward or not. But we're not even at that stage at the minute where we've got enough to go to a solicitor. The Harbour Master in Chichester was advised me that they in Chichester put together the evidence, and they've got a local solicitor on a retainer who then takes it through to court. They have about 5 or 6 prosecutions a year, which is successful. But their staff have got body cams, they've got cameras on the boats, etc. So it's something that we just need to invest in, really.
Thank you. Can I ask, Matt, we talked about this code, PMSC, and you mentioned quite a high cost of training staff because of the code. Would the cost of the training come from central budget within the county, or would you have to pay it from the Harbour's budget?
Yes, good question. Basically, it's not because of the Port Marine Facility Safety Code. It's the Workboat Code. It's another code. But yes, it'll have to come out of our budget. That's the bottom line. We have a training budget, but it's not £10,000 worth of training budget. So what we'll probably end up doing is using the revenue budget to split it over two financial years. So we'll start the training now, and then we'll carry it in the next financial year. We've got until December next year to do it. So it's something that we're aware of. We just didn't want to walk into it, because you can imagine as next year goes on, and people realise what they have to do, all the courses around the country are going to book up. So we're going to start. We started working on it now, really. So.
Thank you, Matt. It does seem quite onerous. Are there any other questions? I can't see any. Right. So can I ask for a proposer and a seconder that we accept Matt's report? Bryn, thank you. Michael, thank you. So can you all use your vote? Yes, no, or abstain?
Can you see it on your console?
Councillor Sue? No, what? Yeah, no, okay.
Anyone against? Close the vote, Mary.
Right, that's unanimous. I'll close the vote. Thank you. Thank you very much. And that's the end of the meeting. Thank you all.